Hi there, and welcome to this. This is my last feedback session of this course, anyway. How to become a better artist by practicing drawing. So this week we were talking about urban sketching. So I did a video at the beginning of the week, which I'll put the link up here. You can see that, and just talked a little bit about urban sketching. It's a big subject. Urban sketching is one of these things. I think you could call it a movement, but it was a particular sort of trend in art, which is for people to go out and sketch from life. Of course, people have been doing this for years, but it really took off, I'm sure, probably about 10, 15 years ago, with people starting to share their work on the internet and a sort of community really built up around it. So yeah, it's an excellent practice and it's a great way to practice drawing. It's also a really good way to interact with the world around you, taking a sketchbook with you. I certainly remember being on holiday. If you take a sketchbook with you, it gives you the opportunity to pause and just really get absorbed in subjects. And somehow when you come to look at those drawings years later, the experience is triggered by looking at the drawing in a really interesting way. So yeah, it's an excellent subject. Unfortunately, though, this week I suggested all my students go out and have a go at it. But this is, where are we now? Beginning of April, and at the weekend, last weekend, I think it was quite warm and sunny. But this week it basically turned very wintry and cold, and we even had some snow in places. So it wasn't an ideal week for it. But I'm pleased to say I did get some work handed in. So what I'm going to do is just go through some of the bits that were handed to me and just talk you through them. Okay. So starting off here, we've got a nice one from Richard. So Richard took, I think Lindsay made the suggestion that if it's really cold, one thing you can do is you can get out in your car and you can draw from your car. And in fact, I know artists that actually even paint in their car. You can sort of move over to the passenger side and use a little pushard or a little paint box and do it like that. But I say it's sometimes you will still feel a little bit self-conscious, but it's a great option for some areas. Anyway, so that's what Richard did, and he did this nice little study. So the first thing I'm going to do, just to show you, is I'm going to increase the contrast. Okay, so we're going to push the values here. And the reason I'm doing that is because I think, Richard, in the original, you had got a little bit tentative. And of course, that comes with a rather complex scene. But don't forget the lessons that have gone before. So in particular, variety of mark, variety of pressure. You might think to yourself, well, maybe if I get these figures a bit darker and a bit stronger, they might work as foreground objects a bit more. The main thing, though, is I can see that you've actually sketched in the perspective of the building. So you've got that, the essential building blocks of your picture are working well. So that's excellent stuff. And yeah, it's a nice little study. I say there's only so much you can do, but getting out there and making a start is the main thing. So thanks for that. Okay, now Stuart sent me quite a couple this week, and I was really, this is down at Ipswich Waterfront, and he's taken on a very complex subject here, but he's broken it down into smaller bits and done a really nice job with it. Again, so I like the fact that he's got these darker, it looks like maybe ink here, and that makes it stand out and work quite as a graphic statement. Also, having the block of flats in the building, the block of flats in the background, just in the pencil, helps to keep the object, this building in the foreground. So that works really nice, Stuart. So well done for that. And he sent me a few others. I think this is great. So this is again down at Ipswich, and there's something about just the outline of these buildings, and he's got some nice tonal marks in there. So he's still concentrating on lights and darks. And just the simple silhouettes of these buildings, very sort of iconic too, down at the docks there. So that works well, Stuart. Thanks for that. And this one, I think, works a treat. You have to agree. I mean, it's just, I think the way it edits out. So again, he hasn't drawn everything, but we have this simplified sort of scene here. And again, it's just a really nice study of an old building. So there's, there's a sense of the cobbles and the textures. There's variety of marks. There's pencil, pen, and overall the composition, the way it all sort of slots together, is just a really nice drawing. So I would be particularly pleased with that, Stuart. I think that's a really nice study, that. On to Alison. This was my favourite sketch Alison sent in. I particularly like it because I love this sort of continuous line effect, and even though we've got this sort of looks like a bar in front of the way, I think that it works with the composition. Nice sense of depth and distance, and a really nice study. Again, I like there's nice strong tonal contrast there, nice mark making, and the handling of the perspective works well. So thanks for that, Alison. And she sent us another one. Another good perspective study. Again, with older buildings, I know some villages in Suffolk, as the buildings subside and as they sort of age, often they can have angles which can be slightly counter towards your feeling of perspective, but that can actually add to their sort of charm. Okay, so that works nicely. And then this little group, I love the use of the marker. I think that works well. And again, we've got a variety. Maybe these dark windows in this background building, they do bring it forward and flatten the space. But I think this darker building, the dark of that building framing up this figure sitting in the foreground works really nicely. And we've got a variety of characters sitting here at the front. All different, all clearly drawn from observation, and we feel that we're actually looking at real people, doing something. So very interesting grouping at the front there. So I like that. Okay, Debbie sent this in again. I don't know whether it's just the way she's sent it to me, but that might be the empty page of the sketchbook. But again, a very nice use of space, empty space. The figures reminded me ever so slightly of sort of Lowry figures, and I think that might just be their uprightness, but again, a nice grouping of three. And there's a slightly strange feeling of the perspective on the path, like we're looking down on them. That's implied by the path, and yet somehow our view of them is more that we're looking sort of level with them. So that's just a little thing to be aware of. And I just can't resist, let's see, I would just be tempted, okay, just a shadow under them like that might link them together, okay? And yeah, also the path could maybe have a gradient, so you could have maybe dark to light. Again, you could just perhaps draw attention to the light around their feet maybe. But those are just sort of personal ideas. Again, I don't like to see too much just pure white paper in a sketch. If you can introduce some gradient, it tends to add a bit of interest, but that's very nice, Debbie. And then she's also included this sketch, and this is very good, isn't it? This is someone like... So this is the sort of like capturing life as it is. Again, I'm tempted to increase the contrast, okay, which suggests that maybe there could be a bit more tonal contrast in there, maybe pushing a bit harder with the pencils. Again, but nice observational qualities, the leaves, variety of shape, obviously observed and not completely sort of just dotted around. And yeah, a character on a bench. So again, it's drawn from life. It's not perhaps, it's a sort of slightly melancholy scene, but it's interesting, and it's a statement about, what's really going on around us. So yeah, I really like that, Debbie. There's an idea, I think it's called reportage, and it refers to the idea of, I don't know if it's purely to do with photography, but also this type of drawing. It's where you're sort of going out and reporting the world as it is around you. Okay, and a lot of artists have done that over the years, so it's good stuff. Okay, so Lois sent this in. She sent me a couple of drawings. Really nice study here. Great sort of economy of line and some mark making in the background, but a nice feeling of perspective. And yeah, just a really effective little sketch that. So that's very nice. So she's put over heath, over the hedge, through the Venetian blind. So she might have been looking out the window for that one, which is, you know, it's good, but yeah, again, just a good little study. And I quite like, you know, I like those sort of quick mark making effects. Let's see. Yep. So she sent us this one as well. Again, very sort of atmospheric. There's some nice observation happening here. This little grouping sort of standing there and the sense of the horizon. I can see she's shifted the horizon there, which adds interest. But this is what you might call, there's an idea in art of a leading line. And the idea is you can use lines to basically pull the eye through. Okay, so you'd have that. Now, if you were going to use that idea a bit further, you might have implied you could have had another diagonal there. And that might have also given you some ideas about how to arrange the clouds, because the clouds are a bit, you know, so 3 is better than 4. The 4, they're all a little bit equally the same size. So again, like I was saying, variety is the compositional idea you need to tune into. So especially with clouds, particularly the idea of big in the foreground, smaller on the horizon. So it's sometimes a balance between drawing what's there and drawing what might make for a more effective picture. But yeah, very nice study. So good stuff. And what else we got? Another one of Lois, yeah, good character studies, nicely observed faces, which is very good. Oh, that's on TV, so yeah, that's very good. Yeah, that was one of my suggestions, was if you can't get out, but you want to practice drawing quickly, then playing the TV while it's actually going and not pausing is a great way to speed up your hand-to-eye coordination. And another one, people outside Greg's. Again, if you try to invent people, you'll never get this sort of interesting like body language and sort of the way the clothing hangs. These are all things that come out through observation, and it really shows up in urban sketching. And there, yeah, people queuing outside Greg's. So yeah, very good, like that. And then Margaret sent me this one. So again, as you know, I think it was a very cold week, so I take my hat off to anyone who managed to get out there. Margaret did this one, and for me, it's instantly recognizable as a particular part of Felixstowe, so I like that. And a nice, she's actually managed to incorporate a bit of tone in this foreground building, and I think that just lifts it as a sketch. So really nice work there, Margaret. Thanks for that. And Melanie sent these in. So Melanie, I think she goes out sketching anyway, and we can see really nice use of colour here. And I did compliment, you can also, I can see from this anyway, really nice, you know, she's got good quality paper there, which really helps when it comes to putting on the watercolours. And I like this arrangement of the people, you know, the chap sitting on this. Again, it's not the sort of thing you would ever make up. So it's really nice. And there's a feeling of the two in conversation there. I quite like she's used this date stamp. Again, it's the sort of thing you might think, oh, do I need to put the date on? But when you get your sketchbooks out in years to come and you look back, actually, it's really nice to see those dates and to remember, you know, what you were up to whilst you were doing these things. So here we've got more people, so that's good. Again, I can't help thinking this is just me. Let's see, I'm going to use a purple here. Okay. I would just be inclined to try. It links the figures together, and it also just gets them properly grounded. Because what you've done here, Melanie, is you've recorded the local colour. Okay, so the local colour is, you know, she's got a red coat on and black trousers, yellow coat, green coat, okay? And that's like establishing your colours, which is great. But the next stage is then to think about how the light is hitting them. So it can be sometimes as simple as, let me see if I can do this. Okay, so if I lay a little bit of tone there, so, and then maybe a little bit of tone. So then we get the feeling of the light coming down and hitting the top of the shoulders. Okay, something like that. Often the way the light comes down, it means the face won't be as light as that. So it's just thinking a little bit about the light source. It doesn't have to be a lot. But it will just help to ground the figures in reality and just make them seem a bit more solid. Okay, so it's just something to consider. And she sent me another one, I think. Yeah, again, excellent little study. And, you know, there's some nice sort of mark making going on there, variety of line. And, you know, the bright colours really do sort of work well. So I'm hoping to perhaps if I do another course, try and get into some colour, because I think, you know, it's a great way to lift the drawings and add interest. So thanks for that, Melanie. One by Lindsay, and it's again another slice of life. So she's just put mending the windowsill. And very simple little sketch, but again there's something nice about the observation, the head looking in this direction. You know, there's a feeling of, you know, someone actually working there. Again, it's not been invented, it's actually someone doing something. And she's got the date on there, so again it's a nice little, almost like a visual diary. Okay, and I've also got these really nice studies from Jen. She sent these in. So she obviously went down into Ipswich town centre and did some drawing despite the cold. So we can see here really nice contour line drawing. Again, if you look, you can see little details. If we look at this child's face here, you see this little touch of the eyes, like the down, it just a real good feeling of that boy looking down. Okay, so again, those are the, you know, that's very good, I think, because it shows observation, but we instantly get a feeling of the pose. And here with the woman sort of grabbing her top, the masks, all very much like at the time, chap on his mobile phone, and the different coloured pens. So again, quite a nice consideration of a sort of graphic touch there, but that works really well as a page. And so she also sent this one in. Nice study, someone sitting down here. This is very good though. A little bit of ink, and again, variety of mark. And that little red H&M sign there really sort of lifts the sketch, but also good handling of the trees and the branches, and a very nice study. A little bit of tone on the ground there, so that's good. And this is very similar to where I was sitting when I did mine, so I think she's done really well with this. Again, I can't say for definite because I can't sort of see it there. The horizon, the vanishing points though, let me see if I can. Okay, the vanishing points. So that one comes up here, that one comes up here, that one. I was just wondering whether the vanishing points were a bit, maybe these angles were a bit acute. You see, it takes the vanishing point above the eye level or the horizon line. If we brought this down, this would make these lines a bit steeper. Do you see what I'm doing there? Okay. They're just things to consider because they can affect the sense of space. So as I say, this area does have a great sense of space. But that is, yeah, using the perspective well would help that. And the other thing I might just add is the shadows, okay? So the shadows tend not to be as dark as that. Okay, if I was to put that like that. So what happens with the shadows is they're normally not the darkest thing in a particular scene. What happens is the ambient light, they're shadows because the sunlight is being obstructed. But there's ambient light, and that's usually in the sky and the surrounding areas. That bounces into the shadows. So instead of them being completely black, they will have colour. And on a very blue, if it's a blue sky day, the actual blue sky will be feeding into those shadows, which is why they can sometimes tint slightly towards the blue. So they're just things to consider. But, you know, it's obviously when you're working with pen, the only way you can create something lighter than black is just by hatching. So that's just something to consider. But again, very nice. I like the use of blue. I thought that was excellent. And then finally, another great little study here. So you can see this in something like the Moleskin sketchbook with the rounded edges, which is good. Nice use of the graphic touch there of the Coca-Cola. Really lifts that as a little study. So that's good. And the little boy there on his scooter, which, you know, if you go out now, you hardly see anyone not on a scooter these days. So that, again, it's very much capturing something of the age. So yeah, so again, yeah, great sample of work there. Some really, you know, nice to see people getting out there despite the cold. Hopefully it's something that you'll carry into the summer, and also get into that habit of having a sketchbook on you. Okay, that will really help. Anyway, so there's been some great work there this week as well as all the other weeks. So I really appreciate you sending it in, and I hope you've enjoyed the course. And I'll be in touch as I'm going to try to put together another course in the next few weeks. Anyway, so I'll be in touch. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon. Bye.